All right. Good morning, everybody. I hope you are fine. All right. So I'm looking at the chat now to see who came first, and I hope you are powered up and you are ready to join us for this awesome session. So my name is Udeme. I'm a trainer with Impactor from Nigeria, Abuja, Nigeria. So I want you to tell me how you're faring. And a lot of you are in Kenya, so just tell me in the chat session how you're faring, how your morning is coming up over there at Kenya, and how you're doing, how your business is doing, how you're holding up, how your business is holding up. Right? So do well to say hi to Lorian, do well to say hi to some other person in the chat, and then um, while we get on this awesome topic. So we are going to be discussing how you could stay productive online, staying productive online. I know you could be tempted to get swamped up with the new normal, we call it so. The new normal we are actually experiencing after the COVID came. Most of our jobs need to be done online now, no longer going to an office to get things done and all of that. So it's basically you trying to get things done online, right? So we're going to see some tips and tricks how you could get things done online and how you could do them, how you could still do them productively. All right. So I'm waiting for you to um, show up. Dorcas, thank you for joining us. Anastasia, thank you for joining us. So why not just click on the share button? You could click on the share button and then share the link to your network, share the link to your friends and your colleagues, and invite them to come join us to enjoy this session. All right. So once again, my name is Udeme, and I'm here with Larian. So Larian is going to be our moderator. So do well to say hi to Larian, and then I hope you have your writing materials with you, where you will be able to jot down a few of the tips and tricks we are going to be sharing here, and then we are going to be having um, three three breaks, three pauses, where I'm going to be answering your questions on whatever concerns you have. Concerns from this particular topic, concerns from whatever topic you have questions from the previous sessions you had. All right. So I want you to keep the chat busy and keep me busy. I'll be answering your questions. I would love to answer your questions. Let's keep it engaging. Let's keep it super fun. All right. Okay. So we are going to be doing this in three different segments. Now the first part is going to be we're going to be discussing the items you need to set up your remote office, and then we'll head over to explaining the importance of building a productive working environment, and then we'll provide top tips on how you could get this done. And then we'll head over to help you manage and maintain your well-being, your mental health, which is very important because the screen life is a little bit crazy. So you need to know how to manage it and manage your time, manage your life, manage family, balance things, balance work, and all of that. All right. So I'm waiting for your engagement in the chats. So I'm waiting for you to say hello to Lauren. I'm waiting for you to say hello to me and tell me how you're faring over there at Kenya. Tell me how you're faring. Tell me your city in Kenya. Tell me where you are. Stella, hi. Good morning and welcome to today's session. All right. So remember, I told you I was going to be asking you a couple of questions. I'm going to be asking you tons of questions, and I expect you to ask me tons of questions back. But meanwhile, Google is opened up for small businesses, NGOs, any business you want to scale up. Google has a Hustle Academy where they expect you to sign up. So Lorraine is going to be sharing the link right now in the chat section where you could get to sign up on g.co/hustle academy, and then you get to get enrolled. It's a full 1 week practical course where at the end of the day you're going to be taught a lot of things, content, digital marketing, to basically everything. And then you head over to get matched with a mentor for a one-on-one coaching. And the most interesting part of it is that it's all free. It's completely free. You pay nothing to Google. It's just Google trying to help you make your business grow and gain more visibility. So do well to click on that link that's going to be shared in the chat and then sign up for the course. All right. So welcome everybody. Stella, I see you. Gloria, good morning, and Anastasia, Dorcas. So do well to click on the share button and invite a friend to join us. So like I said, we're going to be having a couple of questions where I get to ask you tons of questions, and I expect you answer a couple of them. And then I want to also have you ask me a couple of questions so that I'll be happy to share the much I have with you. Ngozi, thank you for joining us. Isaiah, thank you for joining us. And basically, everybody, thank you for joining us this morning. All right. Okay, so my first question. So, how has COVID-19 impacted your role, your work role? So, share with me in the chat how COVID-19 has impacted your work role. Um, I know it was quite an interesting time. 2 years ago was quite an interesting time. As of this time, in 2019, everybody was locked down in their houses. You know, you only had your family to converse with. You could hardly see people face to face, and it was actually against the rules. It was against the law at the time to step out. You know, you just need to step out to get food, and that was a very interesting time. And it didn't just affect our regular lifestyle. It affected the work and the work. So I want you to tell me how COVID-19 has impacted your role, how it made things. Some people were laid off. The government offices were just running, just running from home, which is, normally is not very effective. I'm not sure how it is over there at Kenya, but here in Nigeria, it was more like forcing people's parents to start learning how to operate Zoom and start joining meetings online and all of that. So it was quite a very interesting and a very funny period that we pulled through in 2019. So I wanted to share with me how COVID-19 impacted your role. Did it? I hope you were not laid off, and I hope your work switched, like mine technically switched from doing the physical sessions where we used to go out to find uh, to find audiences where we could train. So the whole online training thing began in 2019, ending of 2019. So I wanted to share with us how COVID-19 has impacted your role so far. All right, I can see Liz and Joki. Good morning and thank you for joining us. Jacinta, thank you for joining us. Ngozi and William, thank you for joining us. So remember to click the like button and the subscribe button if you are yet to, and click on the share button and invite a friend, invite families to come join us as we share knowledge this morning. All right. Thank you, Rose. Thank you. All right. So let's go into the content we have today. All right. So let's see the first part of what we plan to do today. So, what is remote working? So, remote working basically is, you know, it's a working style that allows professionals to work outside of their traditional work environment, and it's based basically on the concept that work doesn't need to necessarily be done in a specified space, a specified place. Work could also be executed successfully somewhere else. So while having the ability to work from outside of a corporate office, that has been feasible for a few decades, but working remotely is now becoming the mainstream. It's the mainstream now. All right. So you can bear me witness that a lot of brands now switch completely. I know of a very big brand that just resumed office last week. Is it last week or 2 weeks ago? I know in Zimbabwe just resumed from their lockdown. I think a couple of either a month or 2 months ago, right? So it twisted the whole structure of how work um, has been done or had been done before now. So think of it this way. So instead of committing to an office,
Okay, so hey guys, and sorry, we are going to do another adaptation mode. We had a little issue, sorry. So right now, we will continue the session definitely, and we will be going from where we actually stopped, right? So okay, now let's continue. We were on how you can set up your remote office. I hope I'm very audible. I'm really still sorry for what happened. We had a little technical issue, but guess what? I'm up to continue and to make sure this session is very successful. So I am Lorian. I am taking over from Udeme in this session, and for our topic today, the first agenda is setting up your remote office. Okay, now when we're talking about setting up your remote office, I just want you to make you understand that it's nothing big, right? It's just where you're going to work away from home, even when you're at work. So this is what we look at when we're talking about setting up our remote office. Now let's dive deeper into what it entails. Remote working is actually a working style that allows professionals to work outside of a traditional office. So it's simple, it's just mainly working out of your office, right? But then there's this particular thing about remote working that I would like to mention, right? It does not mean that because you're working out of an office, it's light, one, it's a joke. Two, but then it should be taken very, 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 very seriously. And then secondly, it's not also confined just in your home. Now let's look away. Where can people work remotely? You see, like I told you guys, it's not just about sitting at home behind your laptop only, even though that's the first area wherever people work remotely. So for some employees, working from home is the best option. Yes, for me, working from home is the utmost best option. So, talking about remotely, yeah, we first of all talk about the fact that you are working from home. Now, a second place where you could work from is from a coffee shop. All right, even though it's a public sphere, it's a very interesting place to work from. Right, so I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my towns. We have very popular coffee shops where people do a lot of trainings there. People do, these open space trainings, these sharing meetings, and all. So this is another place where people can actually do work remotely. Thirdly, we have co-working spaces. This is something that's actually taking a lot more of space right now. Many people go in for co-working space, which is also very professional because they give you the necessary to be able to work remotely. So a co-working space, it's actually these offices that are set up to permit people that work remotely or people that work freelance to actually be able to carry out their work effectively. And the last thing or the last place where you could actually to work properly remotely is in a library. But mind you, if you're doing a training like I am doing right now, you don't have to be in the library because the library has to be quiet. Now let's move forward. What do you think? Okay, you need to work remotely. Please, according to you, what do you think is or are the necessary tools that you would need if you're working remotely? Please let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section what you think are the tools you need to work remotely. I am already in looking at you guys. What do you think you need to work remotely? I am not seeing any comments here, Rose. Can you please come up and tell me what you think is necessary to work remotely? Um, dear Christine, dear Liz, what do you think is necessary to work remotely? Okay, I'm not seeing any responses now. All right, so there's one thing about me, right? See, we need to collaborate, right? We need to make it both of us. It's a give. I give, you give, because all of us have to learn. All of us. So if all of us have to learn, then all of us need to contribute, right? So I am waiting for your answers. Let me check one last time. Good connectivity, perfect, good. Kudos, good one there. Conducive environment, exactly. See, Ruth, you know these things. Thank you so much. Please, Sandy, please, what do you think you need to work remotely? Please share your answers, right? What do you think you need? What do you think you need? So, I'm just going to continue while you leave in your answers in the chat box of what you think are the various tools you need to work remotely, right? Okay. Um, what do you think? First of all, you need a dedicated workspace. One, you need that workspace that actually separates work from home. Okay, this is mainly for people who are working home. You need to know that you should have a workspace that is solely workspace and that is not a home sphere. Secondly, you need to have the appropriate devices, that permits you to connect, to collaborate, and to work remotely. You need to make sure that your device is up to be able to help you to do the work correctly. And like you said, you need a very, very good internet connection. Obviously, if you're working remotely, that makes you guys have to be connected. And if you guys have to be connected, you need to on the to make everything, is working out very, very successful. So these are the things that you remotely. Now let's her into getting the own so your space inside your home so you feel more productive, okay? Because working from home too, you need to find that area makes you use and then produce well. So you need to do major things like avoid the bed or the couch. You should set up a chair. You should make sure the space is comfortable, and then make sure you set up right. Like, make sure you set up right. If not, I don't want to say what happened. Let's go next. Let's physical equipment reminds. Your phone. Okay. You need your phone, you need a computer, and like me, you need a notebook. Okay. So it's important because even though we're all nowadays and everything is on a computer, it's always important to write sharp to Zoom, and maybe you're able to follow up the various activities that you have to carry out. So these are tools that you will need for you to be able to work effectively remotely. Now, let's talk about power. In this our world, what they call third world countries, power is still a thing, right? Power is still a thing, but then when we're working with, we need to make sure, we are sure that we have a stable power connected source, right? To product, you actually need needed at every minute because you have to be reachable. Your colleagues are going to try
All right. Can you hear me now? Sorry about the whole internet trouble we are having. All right, so let me just pick up from where the last speaker stopped. One second. All right, so we're going to be looking at the challenges of working remotely. Now, the first of them is loneliness. It's one of the major drawbacks of remote work, especially for extrovert, because if you don't have that liberty to be liberal, meet people and do your thing, loneliness can have a good take on you. So if you are used to the office chat, you always find working remotely very lonely and a very lonely experience. So, but however, if you think working alone affects your productivity, you can always jump up to a restaurant or an eatery to get your work done. Right? And self-discipline also could be a major challenge because you need dedication, you need discipline, you need self-control to avoid losing momentum when working from home. And then you don't always need to convince yourself that a single YouTube video during your working hours won't do any harm. You need to be disciplined enough to avoid all those short breaks. Because before you know it, you must have spent hours on that space, and then a lot of time must have been burnt away, and some things could get messy. And then no employee benefits. You won't have that employee benefit with health insurance or retirement funds, although you could work from home at some home opportunities, right? All right. Can you hear me now? So the next one we're going to be looking at is um, difficult to switch off. So when you're working in your office, you're most likely conscious of the closing time. But that's not always the case with remote work because most times you tend to overwork yourself. You walk into your personal time, you walk into time you're supposed to be spending with your family, and then that eats you up. So when working remotely, the lines between work and the lines between your home life, they are very blurred since you are working from your dining room and you're working from your sitting room because you might find it very difficult to disengage yourself from work. So you need to, it's one of the big challenges we have with remote working. And now the fear of missing out, call it FOMO. So working remotely could make you feel left out occasionally when you miss out on important meetings, and events in the office. So you most likely be the last person to hear in the office about all the upcoming events. But Slack has done a good job. So softwares like Slack could always help you to keep yourself up to speed with everything that is happening around work. So these challenges also seem, they're largely initial with time and some getting used to it can always get to master those challenges over time, right? But basically, the benefit of working remotely outweighs all the disadvantages. So I'm going to ask you another question. So, what are the benefits of working remotely? What are the benefits of remote work? So, I want you to tell me in the chat session what you feel are the benefits of remote work. What do you think are the benefits of you working remotely? So drop in the chat session. Beryl is in the chat, and uh, Beryl is in the chat, and Lorian is in the chat as well. So do well to drop all that response in the chat session as we move on. All right, so let's see a couple of benefits of you getting to work remotely. Now, remote work comes with a host of benefits, right, for all the workers. You can always bank on the flexibility because sometimes there are things you need to get done at home, and you can always sneak in and get those things done, and while you come back to work, whether it's waiting for you to repair your car or maybe receive a parcel. Working from home allows you that flexibility and to deal with all those unexpected things, right? Now, on top of that, there are everyday tasks that you can always fit in around your work daily, your laundry, you can always throw your clothes into your washing machine and come back to continue with your work. You can always receive online grocery deliveries and all of that. Also, no commuting. Like I mentioned earlier, we are working in a city like Lagos, where you get to leave your house as early as 5 and then you're returning like 9 p.m., 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's a crazy lifestyle, trust me. And then it's very risky as well. So if you're not going to be doing all that movement, you save time for yourself and then you help yourself with that risk and all that daily stress. You get to the office maybe by 9 and you sit down working till maybe 5 and you start journeying your way, maybe sit for 4 hours in traffic, burn your whole life on traffic. All right, so it helps you cope all of that. So now you get to spend more time with family, and then more time, because basically, like a city like Lagos, you don't get to spend a lot of time with family. Sometimes before you come back, your children are already asleep, and you're seeing them just maybe a few minutes in the morning, if at all you see them. And then the next morning, you're repeating the whole process. So there's basically no time to do anything for yourself. So the, one of the big benefits of working remotely is that you're going to be having time for your family because you get to see them, right? And it's less distracting, with some willpower and a steady routine. You learn to avoid all those distractions from your TV and then your next, all your laundries and all of that. So you should always find time getting more work done remotely. That's because you control working situations more when you're working from home. And then you have a high morale, right? When you're working remotely, remote employees, they are always notably less stressed, and then they have high spirit because you have a lot of time to do things with ease. In the office space, you may not have that much time to maybe rest your back, but you can always rest your back once in a while if you are working remotely. All right, so let's now take a quick look at the benefits that could be brought to you, um, could be brought to wider business. All right, so we could also reduce overhead costs. The cost of securing an office space is quite expensive, especially if you are in big cities like Nairobi, Kenya, or you're in Mombasa, or you are in Lagos, Nigeria, or you're in Abuja, Nigeria, or Port Harcourt, Nigeria, or any of those big cities. Getting an office space could be quite expensive, especially for startups. Paying high rent in places, could be a very heavy burden that could, if care is not taken, you could run down your business. Okay, so it's extremely important. Extremely helps as one of the big benefits because it cuts that cost. Cuts that cost. Now, a greater productivity from a higher engaged workforce because you get to have more people working. More people can work remotely in an office space that may not be able to contain 20 people. So we have more people working remotely. You get to do more within the space of time, and then you have access to wider pool of talent, just like I've explained, because you get to employ people from not just within your city, you could employ people from everywhere around the globe. Like I know brands, even the big brands are now hiring from everywhere, so they can boldly say they have um, a remote worker in this country, remote worker in this country, and everybody's all getting the work done collectively. So that's one of the most interesting things with working remotely. All right, so I'm going to be taking another pause to quickly answer your questions. So if you have your questions, do well to drop them in the chats for us. And I hope you are saying hi to Lorian, and you've said hi to Lorian and Beryl, and you are keeping them engaged. All right. Okay, so if there is no question, I would love to fire on. All right, so if you're having challenges with your phone, you can't see the screen very well. What you need to do is just, if you're using a phone, head over to the top right corner. You're going to see three dots like horizontally arranged, no, vertically arranged, not horizontally. Then you just tap on that three dots, and then you're going to see advanced option at the bottom. Tap on that advanced option, then you're going to see image quality. Tap on it, then you're going to see some options 144p, you're going to see 360, you're going to see 480p, when this is 720p. So just set it depending on the strength of your internet. You could set it to 480, you could set it to 720, so that your screen could get better as you're looking. All right, so remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're yet to, and more importantly, drop your questions for us. We'll be happy to answer all your questions. And then thank you so much for all the engagement so far. Jacinta, uh, Abdul, 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 yeah, Abdul, thank you so much. Ngozi, thank you so much for all the engagements, keeping Beryl and Lorian engaged. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm gonna be heading over to the next part of this presentation, and I hope you have your questions as we move on. If you have any challenges, um, maybe from this topic or maybe from another topic, you could always throw it in for us. We'll be happy to respond. So let's get over to the second part, which is how you could build a productive work environment, right? So why will you work? Why your work environment is very, very important. You need to have an environment that is comfortable so that you can be productive. And the quality of your workspace is vital, is very vital to productivity. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to be productive. So you get to put some thoughts into the workspace. Now, there are some tips to creating a workspace that promotes wellness, and then productivity includes the use of uh, natural lights and then a desk position so that you be relaxed and then you can get your work done very well. So you need to consider the space for various tasks and how you can arrange your office layout effectively. So it's also important that you create an area of your own to work. Now, even if you are living in a one-bedroom apartment or you are living in a self-contained, you need to have that special space where you get to um, get things done. Get that's is a designated place you could call your office. All right, it could be the countertop of your kitchen where you can always place your laptop, or it could be just a shared space within another workplace, or it could be somewhere within your house. You get to find that right chair for yourself. Having to sit on a wooden chair is not healthy. It's not ergonomically fit. So you could have one of the ergonomically chairs where you have your back to rest properly, and then you won't be having crumbs on your back. So finding a chair, also the kind of chair that is fit for your health, also is important. So now you get to develop a filing system to keep you organized. It's important that you also ensure that your personal working environment is one which will help you to work effectively. Your environment has great impact on the quality of work you produce. If your environment is not fine, that means it's going to directly hamper your work. All right. So, according to research study on the effect of work environment on productivity, workplace distractions cut employee productivity by 40%, and then they can be a 27% increase in errors. So that means if you don't have a comfortable workplace, you could be producing more errors than producing productivity. Right? So how can you minimize distractions? This is very, very key. This is very, very important because if you don't know how to manage distraction, you don't know how to discipline yourself while at work, you might end up not getting anything done. So let's see a few steps on how you could get to manage and minimize distractions. So it could also be very challenging to avoid distractions at work, and then you may become more so in your home environment because sometimes you focus on the work right in front of you because it becomes a challenge when you do that. Even more so, it's something you hope you didn't need to do. So yeah, a few tips and tricks you could um, employ just to help you minimize distractions. All right. So you need to let others know your working hours. So if you have a family, especially if you have kids that always want to jump on you, right? You need to let them know, okay, if you have friends that always want to check up on you, if you have neighbors that always want to check up on you, you need to let them know, okay, this I work between this time to this time, so I don't want all the distraction, right? So you need to speak in clear terms, and let them understand that work is also important. So this will help them to understand the hours of the day they bump into your space, right? And then you need to always do one thing at a time. So after breaking down the whole process, the huge process, you need to break it down into smaller doable bits. This is how you want to do it, the time you want to do it. Now after you complete it, you can move on to the next and then to the next, so you get it completed. Now you need to avoid the televisions, you need to avoid all those household distractions, and you need to avoid the YouTube videos and the Instagram videos and the TikTok videos, right? So that it will because those things are a little bit addictive. The more you just when you just sneak into it, the next moment you are seeing yourself maybe 2 hours into the time. So put away all those distractions. Put away your pets. If you are I'm not a pet person, right? So if you have dogs, if you have cats, so you need to put your pets away. Maybe give them enough food to make them sleep, that they won't come to be distracting you. And then always take regular breaks because There are so many things you may need to do, and your brain could be overworked. Sometimes you feel like you're drowning, and your brain shuts down for a moment, right? So you need to take some breaks, and then get up from that table, take a walk, grab a coffee, maybe make a phone call, speak to your woman, speak to your man, and then you get to be able to work and get more things done. Because obviously minimizing your distractions will help you optimize your productivity when you're working remotely. Excuse me. So, how can you improve productivity within the teams? How can you improve productivity within it? I want you to. Um, I hope. I hope you are keeping Burial engaged. You're keeping Lorian engaged in the chat. So, how can you improve productivity within the team? It could be very tricky a little bit because everybody is working remotely. So, how can you improve productivity within the team? All right, so I'm going to be heading over to the chat to see the responses here dropping, if there are any. All right, so if somebody said they can't hear, okay, please, I think my volume is fine from here. So just push up your volume button. I'm sure that will help. All right, thank you for all your comments. Thank you for all your engagements. Remember to hit the like and the subscribe button if you are yet to, and then click the link and invite a friend. The share button, invite a friend. So let's see how you can improve productivity within the team. All right, so remote team members, they need to be able to plan and collaborate on commitments and deliverables and tasks. They also need to track the flow of work from start to finish. So that is where the project management comes in, because you need to establish vision and deliverables. You need to establish logistics for the team communication. You need to establish and promote visibility and transparency of all work. And importantly, you need to be able to track the quality of the status of the projects, right? I need to identify and address all the bottlenecks that may come in between. So quite important. Establish the vision, establish the logistics, promote visibility and transparency, track the quality and the status of the work, and then establish and address all the bottlenecks that won't allow the work to flow very fine. Next up is communication. Now we've seen that 70% of workplace mistakes are due to poor communication, right? Somebody can get something done that was outside what the plan was. So communication plays a very vital and a very fundamental role in our daily lives, right? So for some good communication comes for some, good communication comes naturally, but for others, it can be hard to articulate their thoughts and their feelings and then to send out information. Some people are not very expressive, right? So, and that often leads to conflicts. That often leads to errors in getting the workflow done. So whether you're an effective communicator or you are not an effective communicator, it's always very very essential for you to understand the importance of good communication and how the good communication can help you move forward in the working world. All right, so there are tools that can help you. There are tools that could help. There are some project management tools, Asana, Trello, and the rest of them. All right, and it's also very important to communicate effectively when working in general, because dispersing can always have an impact on the efficacy of the traditional company communications. So there are different communication tools that could help make work more effective than others, so as to communicate with team depending on the purpose of the task at hand. Email is very key because they are particularly useful for business communication. Group mails allow you to send a single mail to a larger number of recipients. And then, unlike instant messaging or instant chat responses from emails, those ones could take longer periods and messages may get lost in the spam. So do well to always employ your group emails. Emails. Okay, so I'm tempted to mention Gmail. Yes, Gmail is one of the emails, right? There are different other platforms. Okay, because since we are working with the Google stuff, so I'm tempted to mention Gmail because there are other tools. Yahoo, there's Ymail, and the whole lot of them. Amazon Mail, and then messaging platforms can always facilitate many of the daily functions a physical workspace or an internal email thread could normally perform. So there are lots of chat-based platforms that could help you and then could help you to enhance communication effectively within the team. All right, but what rules can we create? Can we use to create communication to be more effective? What rules? So that they need to be set rules so that one can communicate effectively. So creating the right communication channels and ensuring everyone knows how to use them is very key, is very essential because virtual teams don't always choose their communication channels wisely. And that can harm trust, that can increase tension, that can increase unnecessary work, right? So you need to think about what kind of things you need to do so that you communicate properly because communication is very key. So you need to think about the types of messages and the context the messages are going out, the actions that need to be done, the feedbacks, the deadlines, and the deadline reminders. You need to consider your audience. You need to make sure that that message that is going out is appropriate. You need to make sure that the message is clear. You need to communicate clearly. You need to respond promptly, right? I need to set and role model the guidelines, right? Communicate plainly, respond promptly. All right. So let's see video meetings and video calls. So it's very important as we're having a call now. We're having a call now. It's important you have you are used to these tools. It's important to communicate effectively when working in general. But dispersed teams can always impact the efficacy of more traditional company communications. Several tools like the Google Meets, like Zoom, like the Teams, the Microsoft Teams, the Skype, and WhatsApp. They're all very important tools you could always leverage on to make that team bonding happen, to make that communication go out. The video calls could be with a smaller team or could be with a larger team. All of that needs to be brought into consideration as well. All right, so let's look at each of these tools individually. So Google Meet will keep your team connected with the enterprise-grade video conferencing that is built by Google's robust, and then you get to secure global infrastructure. Meet is included in your G Suite. Like if you open your Gmail, you can always find your Google Meets at the bottom left corner. You can just click and set up a meeting immediately and just share the link with everybody. And I actually prefer Meet to every other one because Meet to manage your data is not quite heavy like the other ones. So you need to take advantage of that same secure by design infrastructure because it's built and it's highly secure. Built by Google, and then Google Meets meetings are you can do meetings while you are in transit, right? And then it's fully integrated with the G Suite, like I mentioned earlier, or the G Suite for education. So all of this could always capture very important events and details right where you need them. All right. So that is for Meet. Before now, in my training to know that Meet before now was not free. It's just during the COVID that Google opened it and it became free. And the features are quite beautiful. Now you can run polls, you can raise your hand, you can react with emojis and all of that. All right, so the Zoom is also an application that can be downloaded free on your device or on your computer. So you can also request for a demo if you want, and then Zoom is free for the first 40 minutes. You can run your meeting for 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, it automatically time out. And then if it times out, you need to start afresh, right? That is for the free version. There's a part for there's a version for Mac, there's a version for Android, there's a version for iOS, and then it can take up to 100 persons per go, right? But if you want to jump on the premium version, you can always go longer hours. It won't be kicking you out of the meeting and then to require you to start the meeting all afresh. And people can always share screen, just like in Meet, you can always share screen to explain what you're trying to explain. So people, and then the same thing with Zoom, you can always share your screen to explain what you're trying to explain. Um, yeah. So let's head over to Microsoft Teams. So you get to create teams and channels to organize your departments, separate groups, and then it gets to enable teams to work more effectively. So you get to also utilize the chat and the video call functions to boost communication. There are also GIF, GIFs, and emojis you could always use on Google Teams on Microsoft Teams rather, where you get to share document as well, and then you collaborate with this. You can always use the at function, like in WhatsApp, if you're in a group, you can do at and a name will show up. So you can always use the at function to tag and notify team members. And then you also need to know that Microsoft Teams is included in your Microsoft 365 package. This one is not free. There's no free version. I said maybe it has been, there's a free version now, but the last I checked, there was no free version. And now we head over to Skype. Now, in today's always on the go world, it could always be difficult to get groups of friends, families, and co-workers together in one place. So with the Skype video chats, you could always get up to 50 persons doing a video call, and this is available for free on any mobile device or on your tablet or on your computer. A group video chat makes it easy for up to 50 people to meet and collaborate all at once. With the group screen sharing, you can always get to present your PowerPoints, and then you can always do your video recordings and more to the entire. So your remote co-workers can always work effectively also. And then Skype will always help you to do this, assigning projects, discussing due dates, and are faster and more productive with the face-to-face conversation through the Skype's good video call. So also with the Skype, it might interest you to know that um, video chats is also available, and then you have access to varieties of innovative features such like immersive screen, the full screen video, which also allows you to focus on your work while you're attending a meeting or just a casual chat with your friends, or you get to send chat invites to anyone, even to people or clients who don't use Skype, by using the link through which they can connect with you. And you can always blur your background, and then you can not necessarily on the background. All of that's available in the Skype feature. All right, so let's see how you could run effective meetings. You could always get to set your agendas. There are a few steps. Now, the first of them is you get to set your agenda, and then it will help you to frame your discussions, and then you have a wider session. You also get to ensure everyone is on the same page when you set your agenda. And then you need to consider the tone of voice. Tone of voice is quite important. And if you're working remotely, people can't always see your body language as easily as if you were physically present. So your tone of voice is going to go a long way to tell people how you feel and how they should read the particular kind of message that you're sending out. Then you also need to encourage people to use their cameras, because people, you can always see how people are reacting to your message. You can know how to fine tune what you're saying. It's important also for you to connect with people, and then you can make things personal. And they also need to be very timely. Don't leave people waiting on a call for you, and don't overshoot your time. So be punctual as you would if you were in a physical session. All right. So moving on, we're going to be looking at a few tips on video conferencing etiquettes. Video conferencing etiquette. So few have given much thought to how they should behave in the new reality of work. Employees are still technically at work, so you would wearing sweatpants and t-shirts be acceptable. A lot of people could always wear all of that. Could always wear their briefs when they're working remotely. And are we permitted to let ourselves go as we believe we likely won't be seeing anyone today? Or people who have always been working from home for some time, they also understand that discipline is key to a successful workday. So during the time, you also need to conduct video conferencing. So here are some few tips that will help you to run your meetings and your video conferencing effectively. Now, the first of them is that you need to prepare yourself. You need to prepare, and most importantly, you need to have a good environment. Dress appropriately, right? The camera is most interested in how you look from your waist up. So you dress appropriately, but don't walk naked. Okay, so don't turn up in sweatpants, don't turn up in tank tops. So dressing appropriately will help you keep your mind focused, so that even if you mistakenly want to jump out of your seats, a lot of people will not see, people will not see your nakedness in the public. You get. So it's important to dress appropriately, and then you consider your lighting. Your lighting must be good so that people can see your face clearly. Another consideration is where the light source is coming from. If the light is coming from behind you, you may have a lot of trouble from people viewing your face. Right? But if the light source is throwing from the side to you, you may have a good view when people are viewing you from your camera, which is also in front of you. Consider your backgrounds. But I know a lot of features, like StreamYard has that feature where you can blur your background. Zoom has a feature you can blur your background. I think Meet does have the feature too where you can blur your background. But it's important to have a good background because most times the blurred background would always give a perfect image of you, right? So if you have a good background, I hope mine is good now. If you have a good background, you can always get things done easily and feel relaxed, right? So now you need to also consider your audio. Be sure that people can hear you. There are no noises coming from your speakers, and your audio must be stable. All right. So lastly, let's turn attention to boost collaboration. So let's see some top tips to collaborating effectively. Now, it's important that you need to equip your team with the right tools. Equip your team with the right tools. The right tools could be good internet, could be good lighting source, it could be a laptop, right? It could be a good phone, depending on what you use. It could be a power bank. So you need to equip your team with all those tools so that they are effective when they are doing their work. And you need to make project management easier, right? And then you also get to make document sharing very easy, like make it a breeze, make document sharing a breeze, and then encourage collaboration within the departments. So it doesn't just need to be a whole team doing the thing, it needs to be subsets of teams doing their thing also. And then more importantly, you need to also prioritize the company culture. Work culture needs to be held up high here, right? So you won't, because you're working offline, you're working remotely, you lose the work culture. You need to have and hold the work culture in high esteem also. All right, so let's see final top tips for productivity. So in this time of the coronavirus pandemic, remote work and the remote working from home has moved from being just a perk to more like a policy. And like I mentioned earlier, Zimbabwe, a country like Zimbabwe, barely moved their lockdown, I think like a month ago or 2 months ago. Okay, so it's more like a lifestyle now. It needs to be done like a lifestyle. So how productive are you during this period? How productive are you during this period of social distancing, where a lot of people are trying to stay away from whatever virus now the monkeypox is now prevalent and all of that. So we're going to be sharing some final tips on how you could work effectively from home during this entire period where the world is trying to adjust back to what it used to be. All right, so you got to always communicate, over communicate. What that means there is always communicate with your team regularly, keep people in the loop. What are you doing? What are you not doing? Unlike an office environment, when working remotely, your team members can always see what task you're doing, right? So you always need to communicate back to the team what you're doing well, what you're doing per time, and what you're not doing. It's also very important that you are disciplined. They are disciplined. Be disciplined. So don't fall into that temptation that remote work is a vacation or a paid leave. It's not and to never be. So don't think it's a break. You need to still do your work and then do it. Even though you may have the leverage of jumping around, something you will not do in a workspace, because basically there are no supervisors looking over your shoulders. Sleep, you want to sleep, you want to chill, you want to step out with friends, and all of that. So you may need to be a little bit more strict on yourself. You don't need to turn off your phones. You don't need to ignore communication from, especially from your superiors, and unnecessary excuses is not healthy. So you need to discipline yourself when working from home. Yeah. So have your tools ready. For most people that can and would be working remotely, the lifeblood of their productivity is going to be power and internet, and maybe a laptop from where you're working from. It's important. So make sure you have alternative power sources. You could get an inverter, you could get a generating set, and you could always have options of internet so that if one flops, the next one could always take you. The next one, you could always have like two options so that you're not thrown off in the middle of a session, right? and then you could always fine tune the distribution company of your area, and then you could always get to know what is working for them and what you should possibly adjust to make your work easier. So you need to find a booster and use it. Find your booster and use it. Use what gets you energized and ready to work when you need it. Like maybe a playlist, maybe an energy drink, maybe snacks. You know, something that possibly will ignite your stamina to get you doing the work happily and being very productive. So also, depending on your employment situation, you may need to have flexible work hours. So you get to use this to work when you are most active, whether you are a night kind of person or you are a kind of a day kind of guy. So you just need to find that situation that will make you to work more effectively. All right, so I'm gonna be taking another pause to answer your questions. So I'm gonna be heading over to the chat to see how you've been keeping Lorian and Burial engaged all through the time. Okay, so do you have any questions? Okay, so the attendance sheets has been shared, and do well to fill the attendance form, and then all right. So it doesn't seem like I have any questions for now. So I'm just going to go to the last part of this presentation so that we call it a day shortly. And the last part is going to be how you can manage and maintain your well-being. So this is going to be one of my last questions. Why is it important and for you to manage your well-being? You think it's important for you to manage your well-being? So share in the chat why you think it's important for you to manage your well-being. All right. Share in the chat with us. Beryl and Lorian will be there to respond to you. Why you think it's important to manage your well-being? So it's very important for you to manage your well-being because that impacts your overall health. Obviously, it does. So you are healthier and you are fitter when you manage your well-being, and then it leads to greater productivity. If your mental health is not stable, you won't be motivated to work. You won't be focused. You get to work better and more quickly if you are more stable. And then managing your well-being is important because you need to increase your resilience. You can always overcome obstacles ahead of you, and then you don't need to crumble in the face of challenges and the face of setbacks. It also is important because it boosts your morale, it boosts your level of happiness. You feel more engaged, you feel more supported, you feel more happy to get things done, and that has a huge impact on your working life. Yeah. So, what can you do to manage your well-being? Now, if it is important to manage your well-being, what do you think you can do to manage your well-being? So, I want you to also, again, in the chats, tell something to Burial and Lorian. So, tell them something why you feel is important to manage your well-being and what you can do to manage your well-being if you feel it's important to manage your well-being. All right, so let's see a couple of options why what you can do to manage your well-being. Now you need to avoid overworking. I need to take regular breaks. Now, one of the reasons many managers don't approve of remote work is they have a fear that employees will slack off without that physical in-person, with somebody overseeing your shoulders and all of that. But in fact, the opposite is the case and tends to be the reality because remote working can result in overworking, right? And then I've seen people that always think that people that work remotely are the ones actually enjoying, but that is not the truth. The truth actually is we tend to overwork ourselves, right? We tend to find out that you work extended hours. You close normally by 4 or 5. You find out that if you are at home, you tend to maybe work till 7 or 9. Sometimes you want to figure out one thing before you won't be doing that in an office. When it's 5, you're supposed to go and hit the road. But if you are in your comfort zone, you tend to try to stretch it because obviously you're not going to be hitting the road. So you need to um, overwork yourself. It technically becomes very draining and then that brings a conflict between your personal life and your work life, and that becomes very difficult to manage since the both of them are under the same roof, and it's hard to switch off. So you get to make sure that you allow yourself breaks throughout the day. Take your breaks. Take your breaks and refresh. You need to be clear with your team on what you're leaving. For example, by making some quick announcement in Slack, and then you actually shut down your computer. Maybe just close it and then take a break. Also, it's important that you turn off your notifications on your phone and computer, so you're not pulled back into work after working hours. If work hours is off, stay off. Keep your brain settled because you still need the same brain for the following day. So you need to also, it's important to set appointments on your calendar for the end of the day so that you can get yourself out of your home office. For example, going to the gym, going to the grocery, going shopping, or taking a walk around the block. You know, calling a friend, stepping out, any of those. So what other top tips do you know could help? So share it with us in the chats. What other top tips you feel could be employed so that you don't overwork yourself? All right, so be ready for the culture shifts. Now it's beyond the barriers of the power supply and the internet access for employees. Traditional companies will always have to revise aspects of their established work and the organizational culture to embrace remote work. You know, because traditional companies often appear bogged down by concerns about productivity lacks. So you should always get to choose to trust that the performance metrics that have been put in place will always trump on the inefficiencies. So you need to rethink. You need to rethink how you see work. You need to rethink how people see work, because sitting down for hours straight doesn't always equate that you are doing better. And that is the truth. If you sit down for 5 hours and if you are doing the work for 3 hours, it doesn't. It's not an assurance that if I sat for 5 hours, I did the whole work. No. So you need to have that switch in mind. So it's all well and good if people want to do their works from home. That is if they have a good supply of electricity, if they have petrol in their gens, and they have a good internet connection. Um, nothing productive, nothing not productive is going to happen. So it's important to have your people to be patient enough and get them to understand their commitment and get them to rethink the concept of the work, and then the overall performance will also be considered alongside. All right, so let's see how you can manage your overall well-being. You need to encourage exercise with your teams once in a while. Do a team thing, maybe take some games, and sometimes you also need to take mental health lessons and take it seriously, as mental health and physical health, they are quite important and they should be held in high esteem. And then you get to also hold regular performance check-ins. You need to also check what's happening within your team and how who is slipping off or who can be drawn back or any of those. You also need to encourage workers to separate work life and private life. It's important that you always strike a balance between your work life and your personal life. And then it's important also that you organize your in-person social meetups. Organize in-person social meetups. So if once in a while, just take a break, maybe once in a month or twice in a month, a weekend, just take it off, meet some people, meet some friends, meet family, share bottles of drink. It's very important to help you to more like have a refresh, reset, so it can be more stable mentally and your well-being will be in check. All right. So I have one last chance for you to ask me questions if you have questions. So I hope Lorian and Beryl have been doing a great job in the chat. So I'm going to be sneaking into, yes, Amaka, mental health is very, very important. All right, so the tips we've shared, so if you have any concerns, I want you to drop it in the chats as we wrap off in a moment from now. Okay, so what are your next steps? What are your next steps? Now this session has not, one hour has never been enough, right? So what are you going to be doing next? Can you share it in the chats? What are you going to be doing next about working remotely, about staying productive online? So I want to recommend this online course for you. Lorian or Beryl is going to share the link in the chats on learndigital.google.com/digital skills courses, where you're going to learn a whole lot. We call it the Google University, where you're going to find courses beginning from digital marketing fundamentals. You can get certified, you can head over to do courses where Google is partnering, Coursera, data science. Just mention anything. Mention any course you want. They're all there. So you get to find very interesting courses there where you can pick up and grow yourself and get better at what you do. And now this is another reminder that Google is open to help small business owners and a business that's just starting or is just growing with their Hustle Academy. So now you just need to head over to g.co/Hustle Academy. Now our moderators are going to be sharing that link with you in the chat section as well. So do well to sign up, and then you're going to receive a call, and then you're going to be onboarded. It's a week-long event where you learn everything from how you can manage your finances, the digital marketing part, SEO, and then at the end of the day, you'll be taught how to pitch for investors, and then you'll be matched with a mentor who's going to run you through all those little details to make sure that you are fit for the market. So it's a very important opportunity that you should grab, and it's completely free. It's all free. It's a week-long event, and it's totally free. So do well to hit that link and sign up, and then follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram. On Twitter, you have on twitter.com/digital skills AF, on Facebook, facebook.com/digital skills for Africa, instagram.com/digital skills AF. Now, Lorian and Beryl are going to be sharing that link in the chats for you. So, one thing I've not yet said is this. Thank you very much. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us within this 1 hour. So, thank you so much. I really appreciate your coming. I really appreciate the time you spent here with us. And do well to turn on your notification bell for some more sessions that are going to be coming from this particular channel, so that you can be having the benefits of enjoying the content that will be coming from here. All right, so my name is Udeme. I'm speaking to you from Abuja, Nigeria, and I'm so happy I met with you. And then I would love to meet you on our next session. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.